All right, so next up we have what's coming. There's a couple things coming. And the first one, this is actually a mock-up screenshot, but this is for Blake. We really need Chanalyzer for Android. And we'd worked on it before as a 20% project. And then we actually started doing real agile sprints on it. And it's kind of in the middle of between alpha and beta. Our next sprint, one of our teams is working on Chanalyzer for Android, and we should have that out soon.
Good.
So once we did inSSIDer for Android, it started getting some traction on the Android platform. We're like, we should do this.
Will you be making a recommendation for the best tablet you've tested it on that works better than others?
I was just
That's the only reason I haven't bought one.
Yeah, no,
because I don't know what to buy.
Right,
I don't
and
wanna waste my money on something.
that is a really good question, and it's a really big problem.
Yeah.
Part of the issue is that all of the ice cream sandwich tablets support USB host. Some of them power the device and some don't.
Okay.
Some of them will power the device if you use a power injector. So you guys know Mike Kershaw? He is building his own little board that he can do like 2 USBs in, one looping around, do a power injection into it, because a lot of older devices that have USB host don't. He can't actually get his stuff to work. Anyway, so that's a big issue right there, is which devices can actually power it. This is showing on a Toshiba Thrive, which has a full-size USB port, so you can just plug the Wi-Fi straight in. It's pretty cool. This tablet weighs almost as much as that computer. It's big. The back of it looks like a tire tread. I mean, it's like, this thing's beefy. Most Android tablets like this one just have a micro USB port, and so then you need a cable adapter, but they work pretty good. So yeah, we can send out some recommendations.
Yeah.
But that's definitely where we're going. What we want to be able to do with it basically is walk around, do a little spectrum analysis on your tablet, take your WSX file, save it to your Dropbox, you can get back to your desk, then you can open Chanalyzer Pro and build your report and everything. So it'll be somewhat feature limited for the tablet, mainly as you're on the spot, let's capture the data and then do the bigger analysis on the laptop or the computer back home if you need it. So that's kind of the goal with it. And that will be coming soon. I didn't have a screenshot of this, but we'll show. Do you have it on your laptop? Okay, sweet. So with our goal-directed design, and now that we've discovered who Heather is, inSSIDer 2 is not really the right application for her. It's kind of high. It's kind of too deep with the network table of all the information and the vendors and everything in the network table. And so we're working on a more simplified approach, and one that that helps her as she walks around her townhome or wherever to figure out what's the right channel for her to use. So as you can see, this is still early. We have, actually this says lorem ipsum and everything right here. So this is definitely not ready for release. But we wanted to kind of show it to you guys and show you where we're at with it and get the feedback. So the first screen pops up and it has your list of all the networks. It's sorted by RSSI, and so if you are next to your access point and you start this up, your network should be the top one. You can put a little star. You basically just click to select, that's my network. So once we know which network is yours, then we can do a much better job of giving you a recommendation of what you should do. It also has the typical filter up here. So if if you needed to filter, you could filter. But once we've selected the network that's ours, then you can go over to the survey. And now we have a little information about your network. This is HH honors, channel 1, MAC address, and the vendor. Now this is giving you a channel quality over time. So we took that same channel quality calculations from Android, and we're showing you which channel is the best. Over here, we actually have a room list. And so this, we're trying to get the user to walk around the office, walk around their home or whatever, so that we can see what else is going on in the different rooms. And if you click a room, like let's say we're in the office right now, then it'll pop up a line over here and say, okay, that's the office. And so this is kind of a poor man's site survey. So then the user will walk around their house, and the channels will change over time as you get closer to one neighbor versus another. And down here we have the 2.4 gigahertz band. And one thing you'll notice is you can see Wi-Fi data in here. If you have Wi-Fi plugged in, it'll pull the spectrum data, and it'll also use that in the channel quality. And so then we can start to say, yeah, there's no networks on channel 1, but your jammer's on channel 1 or that kind of stuff that's going on. So we'll use the Y-SPI data in the channel quality calculations as well.
It is not right now, but it will.
Can you maybe think of something for the product portfolio across the board, the Chanalyzer and inSSIDer? Can we get it so that you have access to the camera API through the Android, or if you're on a tablet device, so that we can take photos of it? Because that's one of the things I use on WLAN Book's iOS tools.
Okay.
Is because he has to get around the whole iPads not having RSSI data.
Yeah.
So his is more of a physical assessment, and I
Mhm.
kind of start to see this where this could be a physical assessment type tool for a pre-sales type engagement. And if you can take photos of things, then you're documenting it as you're going on. And,
Yeah.
when you clicked on that office and it drew that marker line, I was thinking, okay,
Take a
I took a picture right
Take a
here
picture,
and
yeah.
draw a marker line so that I can reference
That's we've talked about that a lot actually.
Yeah. Yeah. I think as we move towards the mobile, I think it totally makes sense, right?
But right now, you would take a picture of your face from your webcam.
But I mean, if you had,
if you like your face, that's cool too.
But as we drop this back to inSSIDer for Android, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
Then it'd be really easy to spam. Well, not with this one because there's no back camera, but most of them you could. So yeah, this should be pretty simple. And the next thing we're going to add is a report tab that then will give you the recommendations of, okay, you're on channel 1 right now, but given your environment, you really should be on channel 6. And all these channels are color-coded. So the 6 down here has a little line, so you can kind of match up that data. So we tried to kind of link the different graphs together better for the basic user that doesn't really understand Wi-Fi. So even if you're not a Wi-Fi expert, you should use this tool, walk around your house, and it should say, okay, you need to go to this channel. Or it'll say, okay, you walked around your house, and your Xbox is not going to work where it's at. You need to move your access point, whatever you need to do. And so we're trying to kind of get to that level where we can say, yeah, you have good throughput, you have good RSSI, it should work. Or maybe you need to drop in a second access point, move your access point, that kind of thing.
I'm just wondering there how much that type of user, one who doesn't really know much about wireless, would understand this line graph that's going over there, whereas a waterfall view might actually give them more visual type of information as to what is actually going on over time.
I think that's a good question. And we definitely need some usability testing on it. But one thing right here, you can still see that channel 6 is still the best where we're at. So if you walked around and channels switched, depending on what room you were in at that point, because most people in their house or their office, they need Wi-Fi to work in like 2 or 3 main spots, right? And so for those 2 or 3 main spots, which channel is the best? Do you have good enough signal strength? If you could actually drop in maybe some perf testing or throughput testing type stuff to see, yeah, okay, you're going to be able to get HD quality Netflix in that room versus this room, it's going to be kind of sketchy.
Have you given this to, because you're trying to make a redesign for the average user, have you, I mean, maybe it's early stages, but given it maybe to your mum?
I haven't actually.
To see if this user could.
Right.
Because obviously, us and you guys and everyone working there is.
Right. Yeah.
To see that they,
Yeah. So that's the next step. It's almost a level where we can actually give it to somebody and try to get some good feedback with it. One thing that we
it works.
Yeah, because it works now.
When you develop it, it's like, I don't know, go.
Yeah. So one thing that we're missing in it still is sort of some of that step-by-step walkthrough. Like, okay, walk around your house. Okay, stay in the room for 15 seconds. Okay, go to the next room, and kind of guide them through that process.
That's a really good idea.
We're trying to make Wi-Fi better for everyone.
Yeah.
If it requires another access point in a home, we want that to be very clear to them. You are going to need another access point instead of, doing all these weird things. We want them to have a better experience wirelessly.
I know even the customers that I've recommended inSSIDer to have loved it, that it's really easy to visualize the current 2 version.
Cool. We've talked to some large broadband providers, and we're talking like DSL cable modem guys, where they're going and installing in all these homes, and all their installers are really good on the line coming into the house. Okay, we can cable test that, it's solid, and as soon as it hits the wireless, they don't know. The users don't know. Okay, well, I'm paying for 20 megabit DSL, and I'm not getting my Netflix on my iPad in my kitchen, therefore it's your problem, and I'm going to return and go to switch services, right? So they're getting huge churn on their user base for issues that, you know, they're getting the 20 megabit into the house, but then you have all the issues. So we have a lot of people interested in sort of that insider type thing, or how do we actually make sure that the Wi-Fi is going to work in the kitchen, so I get my Epicurious recipes, and I can FaceTime with, you know, from the couch, and that sort of thing. And so with so much of homes getting connected and all of it going over Wi-Fi, it becomes a really big problem.
It's interesting you say that because there's so many times you go into, you're in your house and you see somebody set up like a Quest SSID and it's on channel 3
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's their kind of current process for their installers.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of those installers, and we've had a lot of articles written about inSSIDer, and the guy writing the articles like, oh, well, I used inSSIDer, nobody's on channel 9, so I picked channel 9 and published that to the world, and we're like, oh no.
Yeah.
And so that's one reason. Actually, in here, we actually bias towards 1611. Every other channel automatically gets 25% discount. So channel 2 will never be better than 75%. And in reality, that's kind of the way it is, right? I mean, you don't want people to use channel 2.
It'd be nice if
Well,
the SOHO manufacturers actually
How about
push
13?
their products towards, push their products towards 1611 to get on another channel. You've got to go into some advanced menu.
Yes, I totally agree. I think your option should be 1611, and then you still get them. If you need to get advanced, then give an option. But that default little drop down, 2 should not be an option.
The European has an objection.
And don't
Not
bond
objection, the
2.4.
question.
Yeah,
We have 13 available.
right. You have
channels,
15913.
so you can do 1611, 1612, 13,
Right.
17, whatever. So it's a bit more wiggly.
And we should talk to you afterwards because we've struggled with this because in Europe they recommend 15913, but then a lot of access points are already using 1611, and so then what do you do? Because now you have people on 5 and 6, 9 and 11, and
So the convention is 1611, pretty
Okay.
much everywhere where you go. But you have options,
right.
right, to do differently.
Yeah, so that's what we've struggled with. It's like, what do we do? What do we recommend in Europe? And if you go into a place that is 15913, do we need to put the smarts in here to actually figure that out and not recommend 6? And
If you look at your end consumer, the DSL line type of example, 13 might be very well a great option.
yeah,
So it's not an enterprise where everything has to tie together. You're
Right.
just looking for the best deal.
right.
And 13 just may be the one, or 12, or
There's
whatever.
clients that don't support 12 and 13, which is a problem as well. So
Yes.
I've seen customers have an AP on 12 and 13. So in Australia, 1 to 13 is legal, but Cisco, for example, only supports 1 to 11 because we're not big enough to have our own regulatory domain for
Okay.
Cisco. And I think the same enterprise manufacturer, other enterprises manufacturers are the same. So, and there's seems to be a problem with smartphones as well, and I've seen people complain about it because one's Android's destined for sort of the European market or US market, you know, sort of not working.
But I think a bigger thing that we haven't talked about is that the Soho APs are allowing you to bond the 2.4. I have captures with inSSIDer in New York City where people are taking and they're bonding big real estate, you know? So even if you have 1.6 and 11,
Yeah.
probably doesn't matter.
What's marketing? I mean, they want to be able to sell a 300 megabit.
Right, no, and just but like your point earlier where you had mentioned, well, too bad you couldn't lock down 1.6 and 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too
Make
bad
it
you
an
couldn't
advanced
lock down
option.
just say your 20 megahertz and take advantage of what you have, you know?
Yeah. That's one reason why. Well, 11N does N support some of that stuff? They're pushing out the bonding out of 2.4, right? Like AC doesn't even have 2.4. You couldn't, right?
It doesn't use the bonding unless it can. So just because you say I set up 40 megahertz, it's not always going to take 40 megahertz. You'll see that with a spectrum analyzer. So
Okay. Whatever, Strongbow. One other thing going along with a lot of this stuff is the education on Wi-Fi. We really want people to kind of get that basic knowledge about Wi-Fi and be able to get the Wi-Fi in their house working. So we started a bi-weekly newsletter that I think actually the first 2 issues were 3 weeks apart, but we'll fudge the math and assume it's bi-weekly. And more webinars. Trent's been doing a lot of webinars on, this one's on, dual band and why, dual band might be better than just 2.4, dealing with legacy devices that only have 2.4 and things like that. Also webinars on pack analysis and spectrum analysis. So we're trying to basically try to help everybody educate themselves up on Wi-Fi and how it works and how to make it work better. So here we're showing like adjacent channels versus co-channel overlap, which we learned from Keith. So we've done a lot of work on don't overlap your channels. So yeah, right now education is one of our big things. It's how do we help people understand what's going on and how do we make the tools that give them the understanding that they need for their Wi-Fi. So, that's all we got.
Oh, I have one thing that. How many of you have used Tamograph?
Oh yeah.
The Tamograph site survey application.
Mm-hmm.
So. They are about to release Tamograph with Wi-Fi support. And this is the best integration that we have seen in a site survey application. Because they actually capture spectrum data. So you can visualize it normally. Typically when you do a site survey like this, you can do that. But when you hover over a point, you can actually see that perspective of the 2.4 and 5 gigahertz with graphics that look like this. You can also say, show me the 2.4 only here. You can say, and the waterfall, 1/3 of the window size, and let's stock this here. So when you hover over a point here, like this, you can get the full view from any point captured. It'll also work as doing real-time spectrum analysis. So if I close Chanalyzer here, 1 second, I'll let you take a picture and close this window. We're done. So here, it's actually doing live capture. So I may not be actually clicking points on my site survey, but it's still giving me a view of the spectrum. So sometimes you need to stop doing a survey and you need to go chase after something that's transmitting. You can actually just leave it running and go and track it down. And it also has lots of export options in which you can export the spectrum data for playback later as well. So they've done a really good job. They've got planning pieces built in where you can build the walls and add an access point to everything. So that's all added. It has you can plug in one dBx and get the 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. It'll just be slow, but it'll toggle both of those. Okay, there. That's up.
Okay. Yeah, that's all we got. So, thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you very much.